So, Uwe Boll, I've always found your films and your public relations as well to be very funny. Where do you get your sense of humor from?
Yeah, I don't. I think if you have humor, it's almost a born ability, basically,
Hmm.
right? So I see that with my youngest son. He has a lot of like jokes on like you have no clue where they're coming from, and so from this point of view, I don't think I really. I mean, maybe we developed it over time, but I think if you are good with making jokes, it's almost an ability you're born with.
So, okay, so speaking of being funny, you're great at basically talking shit. So, who are some of the worst actors you've worked with?
uh, Definitely Tara Reid, of course, on Alone in the Dark, right? So she just cannot act, and it was my mistake to cast her for the movie. I was blinded by American Pie's success, basically,
Okay.
and so you feel like, okay, if I'm in the movie, I will sell more countries for more money, etc. That was a mistake. And then yeah, I mean, bad. I mean, there were a lot of mediocre actors, right? Or people they delivered a mediocre performance. But it's also like if you play in a movie like House of the Dead, like what? I mean, it's also tough to turn it into an Oscar-winning acting piece. So from this point of view, I want to give the actors a little more credit. Definitely, I had a few movies also where they did a great where they did great performances, right? In Attack on Darfur about the Sudan genocide, I think they did great acting in Rampage 1, 2, 3. I think Brandon Fletcher did a great job. So there were various performances. I think they were extremely good.
All right, so I really enjoyed your appearances on Fox News, and I was wondering who are your favorite people in the press that you like to talk to?
I mean, it's always more funny or fun if you have somebody you can argue with, right?
Right.
So when I was on that Fox nighttime show, they just loved me, but it was during the time of Postal, and I think they liked it that I was like this kind of ruthless, political incorrect, and that at that I don't know if the show is still on. What was the name of the show?
Red Eye. Red Eye.
Red Eye. Is it still on or is it gone now? I don't know.
I don't know. They made fun of someone that I know in Canada. Funny enough, he was a general. His name was General Andrew Leslie, and they said General Leslie, a strange name for a man. And I don't know. He apparently a bunch of Scottish people of the Leslie clan got together and they wanted to protest outside of Fox News to bring dignity to the name Leslie. Though I thought that was kind of funny.
But
That was like 8 years
it's
ago.
also absurd. I think you have other reasons to flip out on people besides like making a joke about a more female name.
Right.
I mean, it's absurd. But but I enjoy also like when I go to screenings, whatever I do Q&As. I really enjoy this. I think it's a lot of fun to counter the audience and to be not all on the same page. So I like it when there's kind of a fight going on, like kind of an aggression in the room, and then you double down on things. So I always enjoyed that stuff, doing it basically. And I mean, I just went to a few Q&As in Edmonton and in Vancouver about that documentary about me. There's a documentary out from Sean Scholl. The Uwe Boll doku.
Oh God!
And it actually turned out good. I didn't censor him in any case or whatever. Like, so you have a lot of Boll enemies there talking crap and whatever, but I have also a lot of time to counter them in a doku. So it's fun, and I think the most important thing, I say it in a doku too, is to not be boring. And I think a lot of people in the film industry in today's time, they are just boring. They are just so politically correct. They are so worried about their reputation, image, whatever. They have Twitter, and then they're retweeting it and then say, "Oh, I'm so sorry that I said that." Like that's like the opposite of how I think, live, and what I think is acceptable. I think we're living now in a time where that over policing is ridiculous.
Okay, so you actually boxed your film critics once, and I was just wondering, who do you want to beat up these days?
I still want to beat up Michael Bay for just whatever what he did, what he did to the film industry. So like I mean, of course, other people they deserve to be beaten up, right? So look at Terrence Malick. I mean, look at all his films of the last few years. I mean, it's absolutely insane. But it's also insane, like how he gets these star actors playing in his completely stupid artificial movies. I think it's unbelievable. And then I was very sad about the career turn from Paul Thomas Anderson into the garbage can. You know, a guy who did There Will Be Blood and Boogie Nights. One of really my favorite film maybe of the last 20 years was There Will Be Blood. And then he comes with one crappy shit after the other.
Oh my God.
It's unbelievable. And the last one, I mean, to say if The Phantom Thread was the last movie also of Daniel Day-Lewis, if he really wants to finish his acting career with this movie, then then he deserves it. Not different, to be honest. I mean, it's just like an insane, boring movie. What is just horrible for everybody who's watching it, based on it's just boring. Nothing happens.
All right, so video games have stupid storylines, but why do these video game nerds? Why do they give you a hard time for doing, maybe like a silly movie for a stupid storyline?
Yeah, that was my question to them also all the years, where I felt like, guys, did you ever play Dungeon Siege? I mean, it's like little crocs attacking a farmer. I mean, look at my movie. I did exactly this. I mean, it's like, it is completely absurd. House of the Dead. I think actually most of my movies actually reflected the video game, basically, in a way. And you can say, yes, the story of the movies was silly. And I don't like this kind of movies, that 100%. But what you cannot say is that the game was so much better on Far Cry, Alone in the Dark, Blood Rain, whatever, right? So, I mean, it's just like, it's just not true. I think it's the games were also silly, stupid. And I mean, what are games? Basically, you sit there and shoot. I mean, that is the reality of most of all the games. You fight, you try to get some weapons. It's the same subject matter. And it's very addictive.
Yeah.
Like people, I see my son, it's like horrible with Fortnite.
Oh.
It's just, you barely get him off Fortnite,
Yeah, I used to play a lot of Grand Theft Auto, and then I threw it away. I stopped it. It's all about movies. Movies are much better. So, okay, so your life seems very surreal, and people talk a lot of smack about you, but they also get a huge kick out of you too. So, have you gotten used to your place in pop culture, or is it constantly strange every day?
No, I mean, I totally got used to it. It's just like there is something what sticked with the video game industry, with the Hollywood industry, with the gamers and so on, and I am not getting out of this. It's just like it will be part of my life forever. And but it's also like, for example, when you talk to people, then you see like how many people around the globe watch that movies, and and it's this kind of feeling like if there were the worst movies ever and I'm the worst director ever, why they were actually running everywhere, from Korea to Australia to like South Africa. I mean, it's they sold everywhere, they were distributed everywhere, and a lot of people just know the movie. So I mean, about movies that there are at least 100,000 movies. Nobody knows that. And then I don't think my movies were worse as all that movies nobody ever saw, nobody ever bought, where they're just on YouTube posted in the end or something, I mean, that is the thing. I'm totally okay with my part in the film industry. What I hope from time to time is that people watch my later movies like The Rampage, Assault on Wall Street, Stoic, Tunnel Rats. I did a lot of movies not based on video games. And I think they were more, clearly more watchable and entertaining. At the same time, they had subject matters they were not really in other movies shown. And I think there Soul on Wall Street or something are also kind of actually important movies, and they didn't age. They actually stay 5-6 years later still present.
Yeah. Well, these people who say your movies suck and then watch it, they're losers. They're chumps.
And no, but I agree. I mean, you see that also if you watch the docu about me. There, like you find on YouTube also a trailer of the docu, and then it's like horrible because you have so many like people sitting in a little attic and thinking
losers.
They think they are the big filmmakers in the future. But
right.
Then they're already 45, and so that is the same. What I think that was also a thing where they lost it on me because I told them this in the face. Remember Harry Knowles, the fat guy from AintItCool.com?
Right.
Everybody kissed his ass, but I hammered it in his face the whole time. I was 3 times at the Alamo Fest in Austin. I said, "You're just a fat idiot."
Oh my
and you maybe think you will ever make a movie on your own, but you're not. They just play you so that you post good reviews on AintItCool.com. And it was exactly the truth. And he told me he has Paramount giving him $200 million to make a movie, a directing debut, and I told him no, they didn't. I tell you right now, they will not, Harry. They play you, you're a total retard. And of course, or is my dog barking? Of course, they people like this, they hate me for it.
Right.
It's always tough to listen to the truth.
It's true. The truth is very difficult to swallow. All right, so Uwe Boll, thank you so much for your time. What are you working on these days, and where can people follow your endeavors on social media, perhaps?
Yeah, so on Facebook, I'm the guy with Bush and Bin Laden.
Right.
Yes. So and then there's Uwe Boll Raw on YouTube. So kind of a podcast I'm doing, video podcast, of course, where we have we make fun out of actual politics, other movies, and so on. And then I'm maybe going back to movies in fall. I want to do a documentary about the homeless and drug addiction situation in Vancouver, because I have a restaurant in Vancouver, right? The Bauhaus restaurant. Oh. And it's in One West Cordova. It's like good German food, not greasy German food.
Right.
But in that area in Vancouver are like 5 blocks with 1,000 homeless and drug addicted. And I never saw something like this before. I mean, it's just ridiculous. You think you're in the deep slums of India somewhere. And Vancouver is voted like one of the most livable cities in the world. And I want to go to the bottom of it, like what is going on there? Why is they all ending up in Vancouver? What is the city doing about it? And because it got worse and worse and worse over the last few years. And so I have a crew and we will start filming in September as soon as I come back from Germany, because over the summer I go always 2 months back to Germany.